Dragon Ball Z Movie 6. The Return of Cooler is a sequel to Dragon Ball Z Movie 5, Cooler's Revenge. Unless you don't want to get spoiled about the previous movie, I suggest you watch that one first. It's the first movie where Gohan doesn't get saved by Piccolo, since that cliché was introduced in the movies, but it's the first movie where Vegeta appears to save Goku with "Only I can beat Kakarot." Also, it's the first time Vegeta and Goku actually work together to be the bad guy. Previously, that didn't happen. If you remember, against the Ginyu Force, Vegeta escaped, letting Goku fight Ginyu on his own, as they didn't fight Frieza together because Goku was healing while Vegeta had his last fight. And in the Saiyan Saga they were taking turns because Goku was training while Vegeta fought Cell. Same with the androids. So this is seriously the first time they are working together to beat somebody and actually interact quite a bit. As its name suggests, it's about Frieza's brother reappearing Frieza style. It's not to take revenge on Goku, but he wants to invade New Namek, which is just looks like regular Namek for some reason, but I guess that's because the writers didn't know how the new Namek looks like, and we didn't see it until the Buu saga. And so they made it look exactly like old Namek. It's a continuation which takes place about the Cell saga. I think you can imagine it before as Cell is introduced, but before they go into the time chamber. Then there is God in this continuation before that, and requested from Goku and the gang to save New Namek. So you have Goku, Gohan, Piccolo, and Krillin as fighters, and Roshi, Yajirobe, and Oolong acting as comic relief, and it came probably to explore something. Yajirobe probably only exists there because he was ordered by the god of martial arts Korin and has to deliver the Senzu bean. On Namek, the Namekians are enslaved by super robots from a giant squid-like planet that eats other planets to get stronger. Goku and the gang arrive to stop them and struggle quite a bit against the robots. Normally I'm against robots posing a threat against the sea fighters, but considering these robots are created with the energy of God knows how many planets they consumed, so they are strong. Like, you know how much energy is in a planet? Like, that's big strong. Now, among the robots is obviously Cooler, who was saved by the before he was incinerated by the sun after his fight against Super Saiyan Goku. He obviously is happy that Goku came for a rematch, saving him the trouble to come to Earth himself. I think this movie uses his cast way better than Revival of F. The foot soldiers actually pose a threat, and Goku can't just beat everyone up because he's busy with Cooler. Unlike in Revival of F, where Goku and Vegeta were training, they were busy, but Frieza didn't do jack shit. He was just letting his soldiers die, his father's soldiers, who could have been one-shotted by Piccolo or Gohan if they took it serious. So it didn't feel like it was just padding. Many complained about the movie's art quality. Well, it looks bad in some scenes, if you pause during action scenes. The fights, if you watch it, is really well animated. When it comes to action, very few Dragon Ball movies can keep up with Return of Cooler. This is Also a good movie to set up the tone of hopelessness. There are several times where it seems like the character's trump card finally worked, only to something more dangerous to happen. An example is when Goku decided to turn Super Saiyan and looked like he has an advantage delivering the finishing blow. But the Getic started fixing Cooler, and in a way that this strike no longer works twice. Like all his components were made better. Usually something you would expect from the new iPhone or something. And this made Cooler's regenerative powers unique amongst Dragon Ball villains, and honestly his response to anything thrown at him in general. As the film also really good at justifying the machines being able to fight the Z fighters. And while I don't like the androids from Giro, minus Cell, being able to fight anyone at Frieza's tier, I can buy Cooler and the robots being able to do that. And considering one of the robots is Frieza's older brother who acquired a Super Saiyan to put him down, and the Gettystar having the energy of several planets and its life forms inside. It really feels like a common man versus an industry, ever-grown industry. So there are some interesting symbolisms that goes more than just two guys punching each other until the other is down. And finally, what brought down Frieza and the Gettystar also had a great symbolism where humans have things like willpower and spirit, aka more. There's more to flesh, to men than flesh and blood, showing that you can't always rely on your machinery power. Like machines don't have always the advantage. Besides comic relief, the comic relief cast, Roshi, Yajirobe, and Oolong, each member was crucial. Without Vegeta, Goku would likely not be able to beat Cooler. Unlike in many other films where he felt like a filler character where you can take him out and nothing of importance be lost. Think about Dragon Ball Movie 13, Wrath of the Dragon, or Dragon Ball Z Movie 15, Revival of F. That is because in most movies he gets beaten up and his fights don't really leave any consequences to the outcome. There are also some negatives. For instance, Goku still using the Kaioken despite it being outdated when he can turn Super Saiyan. And comic relief is kinda irrelevant since Gohan and Krillin kinda fill that role too. Not that I personally hate these scenes, since I really love me some Master Roshi. Especially being a movie without hot chicks for him to fall over, so the jokes don't get repetitive. One last thing that bothered me is when Goku and Vegeta seemed like they finished off Cooler only for them being surrounded, about to enter another fight. That is when Goku flat out states the obvious in a scene that already fulfilled the show don't tell. And obviously some scenes looked god awful, where many use the scenes scenes from the movie as means to defend Dragon Ball Super's awful early animation. I also feel like the movie could have worked without Cooler as a main antagonist, since the Big Gettystar was already justified as a prominent threat. So it feels like the writers were cashing on the popularity of a great villain. So it's not as bad as Frieza returning like a billion times, or Broly keep coming back in various forms. And lastly, Piccolo, despite being fused with Kami and probably the strongest at the series at this point, feels feels pretty weak in this movie, and he's pretty much overshadowed by the Super Saiyan characters. Overall, this movie is good. Despite its negatives, it's pretty much shit on most Dragon Ball movies in terms of writing and quality. The soundtracks in Japanese are used amazingly, and the visuals feel like an homage to old sci-fi anime. So if you like these kinds of things, you will fall in love with this movie. And like Cooler's Revenge, it's highly recommended to watch even if it's non-canon.